In this video we'll count down the 10 most difficult junctions on the Northampton driving test, but without any roundabouts this time.
Take the next road on the left, please.
This looks to be sharper than 90 degrees, so go slower than usual. There's a parked car blocking our side of the road, so ready to stop until we can see what's coming. Allow any oncoming traffic room to get through. A common, serious fault would be if we went immediately onto the wrong side of the road without slowing down enough to have a proper look past the van. If we did meet an oncoming car and had nowhere else to pull in on the left, that would be pretty awkward. Not really a junction, but a sharp bend coming from the other direction on the same road can cause even more problems, as the parked cars are not on our side of the road, but oncoming traffic might be, as they won't see us coming round the corner, so we need to be ready to stop, so they can clear the obstructions. This one is actually very easy, unless you fail to notice the road signs and markings. Follow the road ahead unless directed otherwise, in this case, by road signs and markings. The upside-down arrows are another clue to not just go ahead there. What happens a lot of the time is learners fail to read the situation and try to continue ahead through the no entry, or they are put off by the lack of directions from the examiner and just don't think. The examiner would stop the car before it proceeds through the no entry and would mark a serious fault for response to traffic signs. Another one that should be simple, but can catch people out, is the positioning of the traffic lights at this junction. A common, and very serious fault is to respond incorrectly to secondary traffic lights. Here we have the primary lights and the secondary lights which are there so that the vehicle at the front of the queue can see, as they would find it hard to see the primary lights stopped at the stop line. No green arrow, so we need to check opposite before turning across. The cars opposite are staying still, so we can go. As we turn the corner, we are greeted with more traffic lights, and they are on red, so we should stop, right?
These traffic lights are not for us. We need to move on, please.
Let's see why we actually should not stop at those lights. In this example we have the primary lights and the secondary lights, so those first in the queue, or those crossing through the junction in slow-moving traffic can see when the lights are changing. Back to the first example then. Turning across, so looking for oncoming traffic here. These lights are the same ones that were highlighted blue in the previous clip. They are for the traffic coming from the other direction, like in the clip before. If we were required to stop here, there would have to be another stop line just here. Since there isn't, we should carry on. So the obvious serious fault would be the unnecessary stopping. Pulling out onto busy main roads can be daunting, and it will only be made worse when there is a bad view of that main road.
Turn right.
Turning right onto a busy main road, so if there simply isn't a safe gap to go, then it'll take as long as it takes. This is the view we would have of what's coming from the right. We can only see to about here because of the parked cars. And from the left, we can't see very far down the road again due to parked cars. If the vehicles on the road are traveling at 30 miles per hour, they will cover that short distance quickly, so when we do commit to pulling out, we're going to have to be quick. Joining a dual carriageway is usually quite easy with the long slip roads allowing us to build up our speed before joining. But when the slip road is very short, like this one, we need to have the skill of moving off and building up our speed rather quickly. If the left lane of the dual carriageway is busy, we can wait, and even stop here to get a reasonable view. Remember, it is a giveaway situation, and not a merge. We have the giveaway lines here. As you'll hear from the sound of the engine, once we see a gap, we'll want to build up speed quickly onto the dual carriageway. Since we started from such a low speed, we want to get near the speed limit of 50 as soon as it's safe to do so. The most common serious faults here would likely be lack of effective observation before joining, or forcing other vehicles to slow down after joining. Another similar one which is more likely to come up is this one in Harpole, which would only be a little less difficult, as it's likely there'll be less traffic, and it's easier to see what's coming. Coming up, we'll be joining a 50 miles per hour dual carriageway with a very short slip road. The blue sign with the arrow tells us we need to go left. At this point the view opens up to the right. See whether we need to give way. If it's very busy, we could slow right down here. If we still can't join safely by this point, get ready to give way, and even stop on the slip road here. Signal if other cars are around, otherwise it's not strictly necessary. Traffic lights when turning right across traffic whilst the road opposite also has a green light are the trickiest kind, especially when those from the road opposite are also turning right, as it can be hard to know where to position. But even if we do position correctly, our view can be severely restricted.
At the traffic lights, turn right.
Before darting across, we must make sure both oncoming lanes are clear for long enough. We can now in fact see that one of the lanes is coned off. We should see beyond the BMW that the lorry is too far away and too slow to concern us. That was a rather big gap we should have taken. We do realize the van behind the lorry is also turning, and not coming through, which is why we now think about going, while still peeking at anything sliding past their near side, like that cyclist, if it were on the road, rather than the path. The most common serious faults here could be turning across when not safe, not positioning correctly in the box, or not clearing the junction until long after our lights have gone to red and getting in the way of traffic coming from this direction as their lights turn to green. Lane discipline is not just for roundabouts, but is for any junction where two or more lanes go in the same direction. The hardest situation for learners to comprehend this is at traffic lights, turning right.
After 200 yards, turn right.
Lane discipline is required when turning at multi-lane junctions. Left lane would be best, but let's see from the perspective how most learners would do this without guidance. At least try and notice by this point that both lanes can turn right.
Turn right.
Only enter the red half if you've made it obvious you've checked the middle and left mirrors and seen it's clear to go over there. Otherwise, since we used the right-hand lane on approach, keep to that lane through the junction, the green half. Drifting from one lane to another with no checks is a serious fault, even on an empty road.
At the traffic lights, we'll be turning right. It's signposted Ring Road.
Speed limit sign. We could actually use the lane next door on the left, which would be best, but let's look at how most learners would do this. If you used the right-hand lane to begin with, at this point, do not enter the left lane unless you have made it obvious you have checked the middle and left mirror, and taking up that lane wouldn't badly affect others. Better still, leave it until now to move to the normal driving lane. If traffic is heavy, signal to ask to be let in. It's unusual to be asked to turn at junctions so close together as these, especially on quite a busy road. There are a few challenges here. The first one is understanding the instruction we are given.
Take the next road on the left, then take the first road on the right. They are close together. So, essentially, you're going where that red car is parked.
We fall a little bit behind on the positioning and steering for the right turn, and end up swan-necking a little.
And follow the road ahead for me.
So the big challenge here is planning. A lot of learners will be second-guessing where to go, as they won't be expecting the turns to be so close together, despite the warning beforehand. Then there is the problem, what if there is other traffic?
Take the next road on the left, then take the first road on the right. They are very close together. So that's left, then right.
A difficult combo here with the turns being right on top of each other. Understandably we hesitate a little to turn across in front of the car, or maybe we had to ask the examiner to clarify which turn we were taking. Make sure there are no cyclists passing on the blind side of the car. No further directions given. We can assume we are following the road ahead. We should look to the left before we go through the previous giveaway line. Imagine if there were a vehicle following us close behind into this road at this point. They probably won't be expecting us to stop so soon after turning into the first road. We have to be a little cautious to see if the grey Kia will keep the junction clear, as they should. The best we can do is keep the car slow in anticipation of the second turn, and signal to the right as soon as we enter the first road. Another option would be to carry on up to here, especially if the grey Kia had not obeyed the keep clear markings and blocked our intended turn. Then, here, we have to look to the left enough to see if we need to give way at the giveaway lines. Upon leaving the test center, this junction will likely catch out unprepared learners in a few ways.
Take the next road on the left, then at the end of that road, turn right. So that's left, then right?
We could be a little further to the left, as it's a narrow road. Careful of the pedestrians crossing to the left, and the car opposite. The first mistake learners usually do is not do effective enough observations to the right, where there will be parked cars blocking the view of what's coming.
We'll stop there. We're on the wrong side of the road. We'll reverse back slightly and then drive forward to keep to the left side of the bollard, so steer to the right for me as we reverse.
The next thing that could go wrong, as we've just seen, is not selecting the correct lane to turn right onto the main road.
Okay, we'll come back to this side of the bollard, and then we're turning right please.
Yes, here's where we should have ended up. Even if we do effective observations and take up the correct lane, the emerge onto the main road can be tricky. We need to allow enough time to the left to pull out and accelerate down the road. A common serious fault would be pulling out and holding up vehicles coming from the left. Getting a clear gap on the right should be easy enough to judge. A less likely serious fault would be the one we're about to do here. Getting ready to go. It's clear on the right and clear on the left after the silver car, but they are turning, and we don't allow them enough time to complete their turn, probably because we assumed they were continuing ahead. If the silver car were continuing ahead, we would have been okay to creep forward when we did, but with it turning, we ended up getting far too close, and have already failed. Either turning into, or out of this road would make the top spot. This can be a tricky uphill giveaway left, as we soon find out.
Turn left.
We are prepared soon enough, with a low speed and the correct gear, but we either didn't give enough gas or lifted the clutch through the bike too much at once, or both, and we stall. We do manage to brake before rolling back a significant distance though. We then struggle to get the handbrake strong enough to stop ourselves rolling back as soon as we come off the brake. We do eventually manage to get the handbrake to hold the car, so that we can set the gas to get going. It was around 20 seconds from the point we stalled to getting going again, which, especially with a vehicle behind, as we did have, is a very long time under normal circumstances. However, I think the examiner, when deciding on their marking, considered the difficulty of the junction, the steepness of it, which made it difficult to set the handbrake, which is what took us the most time to sort out and allowed us to escape with a minor fault. If we'd been either a few seconds longer securing the car with the handbrake, if we'd let the car roll back significantly further, or we stalled again, it would almost certainly be upgraded to a major fault. The candidate did well not to panic and kept their composure to move off nicely on the second attempt. This right turn is very difficult to see until the last second, due to the varying gradients.
Turn right, then, turn right.
Only now do we really see it, and because we haven't slowed sufficiently, we severely cut the corner, which should be another serious fault for junction approach speed, as that was definitely the cause of the problem this time. That was the first cause anyway. Most examiners would mark as corner cutting, as we had all four wheels on the wrong side of the road upon turning into it.